Hello, this is Monica Sawyer. Welcome to Real Estate Investing for Women, where we focus on all aspects of real estate investing, including strategies, mindset, emotional mastery, money smarts, and so much more to ensure your success. If you'd like to learn my personal favorite investing strategy, just go to blissfulinvestor.com. You can also listen to this episode on the Real Estate Investing for Women podcast on iTunes. Now, let's welcome our guest. Today, I am so excited to welcome back to our show, Angela Alvig. You met Angela a while ago. We were trying to decide how long ago that was. It's been a little while. And she talked about, do you need a personal CFO and how to utilize one, and all the benefits that you can get from that. And so we loved that conversation so much that we played it again earlier this year for the tax season. And I hope that was really helpful. Today, we're going to be talking about role reversal with your aging parents, getting their finances in order without losing your sanity. Oh my God. And the reason that I invited Angela back for this particular conversation is because there's a lot of ladies on this podcast that are listening to me that are in that situation. And I know that I am too. And so I thought that this would be a really relevant conversation for all of you ladies as part of your bliss planning, your financial planning, your wealth planning. This is going to be a piece of the puzzle. So I know that Angela is going to give us some great information today, but if you don't remember who Angela is, let me read her bio to you again, okay? So Angela is a personal wealth CFO for her clients, a trusted advisor who is intimately familiar with their financial situation, values, and priorities. She is a passionate, result-oriented CPA who possesses a unique combination of technical expertise and interpersonal skills that I can't pronounce, with a proactive, action-oriented approach. With over 20 years experience in finance, accounting, and the family office industry, Angela is founder and president of Simplify Wealth, LLC, and leads a team of 10 professionals. Angela and her team provide a suite of financial and organizational services for their clients, giving them time and life freedom, which we all want, right? She effectively leads the strategy and implementation of her firm with vision and heart to ensure she and her team deliver optimal results for their valued clients. Hey there, Angela. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, Monica. I'm thrilled to be back. Great to see you.
You too. You too. This is so awesome. Thank you. So let's just talk a little bit and remind everybody sort of what a personal CFO really looks like. Could we start with that?
Oh, sure. Yes. So a personal CFO can mean all kinds of different things, but really it is, we all have our whole personal financial life that we're responsible for, right? And you involve lots of professionals, attorneys, accountants, wealth managers, but there's still a lot of details to manage. And if you're a real estate investor, there's even more details to manage. You may have many legal entities and properties and, different tax things you have to track. And so what a personal CFO does is help you keep your eye on the big picture and the details. And as I like to say, help you wrestle those details to the ground. And so my job as my client's personal CFO is to partner with them and really take that burden of managing details off of them. And that's what my team and I do, so that our clients can operate in their, call it zone of genius, how they want to spend their time, whether it's because they are, having more leisure time and don't want to spend their time doing paperwork, or because they're aging, and we'll get into some of those topics here today, or just because they're super successful and they're maybe the visionary of their business and they either aren't detail-oriented or they are, and they want someone they can trust to handle the details as well as they would have themselves.
Got it.
So it's really a partner in keeping track of everything.
Yeah, that's so valuable. So yeah, thank you for that. So part of why I asked you back is because I have had several conversations with some of my ladies where they've got children that are getting ready to go to college, and they've got parents that are starting to age, and now they're responsible for either handling the finances of their parents, or their parents don't have the finances and they have to find it within their own budget to take care of their parents. So I know that this is a big topic in my generation. And I'm hearing it a lot from my ladies. So your email to me about this topic came at a perfect time. So could you talk about kind of what that looks like and what you're seeing out there?
Yeah, so it's exactly what you said. So those of us who are really in the prime of our professional careers, and whether we have children or we don't, if we do, my children are getting ready to go off to college, I'm feeling a little bit like, yes, I can do what I want to do with the freedom from, I don't have to pick anyone up at 3 p.m. But then, my parents are aging too, right now they're doing pretty well, but you got to think about these things. And also, things happen that you don't expect. And so, expect the best, prepare for the worst, right?
Yes.
And so some people find themselves very suddenly in that, where they're managing both, and their parents very suddenly need care and support. And but other people want to just get ahead of it and collect the information from your parents, or have them collect it for you while they are still doing great and have a handle on their personal finances, and they're doing a great job being their own personal CFO. Right. But if something happens, you or someone in your family, a sibling, whatever, you're going to be kind of squarely in the middle of having to do that, and potentially with no information to do so, if you know nothing about your parents' situation, which of course is, I would say, common.
Yes.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's just maybe not something families share. And so I like
Well,
to.
it's also an uncomfortable conversation.
Right.
I mean, a lot of times you don't want to say, you might get sick and I'm going to need to take care of you, right? Don't ever want to approach it that way. And I know you're going to talk about it, but that's what it feels like so much of the time. If we
Right.
aren't careful in how we approach this, it becomes an offensive conversation.
Yeah. You
to
know what
our
I call it?
parents. What?
I don't know that I made this up, but I call it a love letter. If you said to your parents, like, I want you to write a love letter to me that would help me in the event that something happens, we hope it doesn't happen for 50 years, right? Or I have spouses that I'm working with where, husband's super organized, wife wants to know who I am because if something happened to him, she would want me to be her personal CFO. Right now, her personal CFO is him, right?
Uh-huh.
Or whatever, as the other spouse. And so that's what I call it. Write a love letter to your spouse, whichever spouse is responsible for the finances. And anyway, it makes it kind of a fun and meaningful.
Yeah. So much nicer than,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
what?
Well, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That tip was worth the entire podcast right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Anyways, I didn't mean to interrupt, but go ahead.
No. So, I think too, it's like, it is a thing, being stuck in the middle here, parenting your parents or whatever you want to call it. And so even just having people understand that they're not alone, that there's tons of people going through this. I mean, obviously the sandwich generation term is not a new thing, but there's just so many things that people have to manage. And furthermore, the information that you need to collect for your parents is not as readily available as it may have been at one time, right? I don't know, 20 years ago, you could probably just go through your parents' file cabinets, find all the paper they had saved from the paper mail, right? Now there's logins and usernames and passwords and you could absolutely lose track of financial assets or other things if you don't take certain steps to collect that information.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So what parts of your parents' financial well-being or just general well-being that do you need to address and be aware of?
So we touched on, their financial well-being. And again,
Mm-hmm.
it's even less like, do mom and dad have enough money? It's more, selfishly, like you would figure out, or you would learn where to find their stuff if you had to act on their behalf while they're alive or after they pass. You need to be concerned about their living situation. We'll talk a little bit about downsizing later, but aging in place is, more and more a thing. And so helping them get situated in their home, that's a whole expertise that not everyone has. And so there are, firms that have an expertise in care management and helping you advocate for your parents and getting the right care. And then just in general, there, social health, but also social engagement, which kind of gets into mental well-being and all of those things, and helping them. I think retirement can be an interesting phase of life, right? And I don't know. I'm not sure I plan to retire because I don't know what I would do. Although I think I could fill my days. But
Yeah. Well, but what is true about retirement is a lot of people, they really identify themselves with what they do for a living.
right.
So when they stop doing that, they don't know who they are. So there's a period, and I've seen this consistently because I've got 6 parents, 2 sets of in-laws, and my parents. And they all went through this retirement phase. And some of them it was easier, some of them it was not as easy. But in general, it was a 2-year transition of things are kind of rough. And trying to support them through that can be a challenge, right? And we don't think about that. That's another one of those things that we don't think about, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, people need purpose and a reason to get up in the morning. I mean, that's a really important factor in well-being. And then and that's easier to discover if you're healthy, right? And then if something changes with your health situation. So it's trying to encourage conversation before it becomes an emergency.
Right.
And it's being proactive. It's like the most boring thing in the world, right? People generally wait till something happens to deal with it. But it's I've seen people, I mean, we have clients who we've been basically hired by their adult children to help mom and dad pay their bills and do things. And in a way, it actually makes it that then those adult kids can spend, their time with mom and dad on fun things, right? It's not like, oh, can you look at this mail? Oh, can you help me with this? And we can do it in a more, in a way that keeps them independent too. They have a person who comes over and helps them do this that isn't their kid.
Right.
I mean, I always joke that I'll send someone on my team to take care of my own parents' bills and stuff when the time comes, because my poor mother doesn't deserve the eye roll I'm probably going to give her. It's not right.
Right.
And I know
right.
it isn't,
Right.
so it's just can be an interesting dynamic, right?
Yeah. And you do want, especially as things are changing in their lives, you do want more quality time with them. And
Right.
talking about finances and paperwork doesn't feel like quality time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, on anybody's book,
Right.
So.
Right. So you can do it yourself with them. You can delegate it to a professional, whatever it may be. But you kind of got to just, okay, what are the things I would have to walk through? I mean, at minimum, find out, if your parents even have a will. I mean, do they have any of this stuff figured out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're that person who's been named as their personal representative, well, walk through what you'd have to know and do it now. And, try to make it fun. Make it a love letter, not a, sad conversation.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about what you're going to need to inventory in order to make a plan for them and to help them make the plan.
Yeah. So first of all, you need to, and I think I said this, I feel like a broken record. I think I said this on my last podcast with you, but you have to build a personal financial statement. So you need to inventory the assets they have. So the financial assets, any liabilities they have, mortgages, credit cards. And I always say, like, the least important thing about this personal financial statement is the dollar value. What's more important is where these accounts are, what bank, what's the account number, how are they titled, in whose name, are they joint? And then some people, as their lives get more sophisticated, they might have trusts and life insurance. There's just all these things that can get, misplaced or misunderstood. So that's the first thing, is inventory what you have and what you owe. And then the second thing is inventory your income and expenses. And again, the least interesting thing here is also the amounts. It's who are the vendors, what are the usernames and passwords for all these logins. Some of these vendors may be more or less have varying degrees of being critical to your life and keeping things moving. But at a very minimum, if your parents were here, their bills still have to get paid, or you got to figure this stuff out, right?
Right.
And, you can't even, log into their cable bill if you don't know this information, or you may not know who those vendors are. So And then the third thing kind of touches on what I just talked about is you have to inventory all of their digital assets. And I don't mean Bitcoin. It's
Maybe, but
it's the usernames and passwords and,
Mhm.
social media accounts. I mean, we've all heard horror stories of, people who can't get into people's accounts after they pass away. And so you have to document everything. There are certainly password managers. You can, some people have a spreadsheet. I'm fine with that so long as it's stored in a, secure place. Don't print it out and carry it around in your briefcase. That's not a good idea.
Right.
But if it's in a drawer in your office desk at home, I think that's fine. I like password managers because then you can share them as the passwords change, and they should.
Mhm.
You can that password change is communicated automatically. And just make sure that your loved ones know where stuff is. And again, think it all the way through. Some people are like, well, I have my passwords are all on my computer, but then they fail to give people their, password to get into their computer.
Mhm.
Oops, that's a fail.
Yeah.
So literally take it step by step. And, I have a very simple mind, so that you literally have to take it like, okay, what would I do first? And what would I do second? And collect that information.
Got it. Got it. So let's talk a little bit about downsizing.
Yes.
That is a great topic.
Downsizing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to confess my favorite thing to do is like help people downsize and deal with the dumpster management. And, it's really fun.
Oh,
it's more
dear.
fun to do it for other people than it is for yourself.
Yeah.
So here's what I would say. Downsize before you have to. I sound like a broken record on the proactivity comment, but we have clients where they'll spend, I have one client, she has no intentions of moving anytime soon. It might be 2-3 years, whatever. We're making it fun. We're tackling things a little bit at a time, right? One room, one corner, it doesn't matter. And so, think of it, to my point about the love letter, think of the downsizing as a gift to your family that you'll leave behind. Like, don't leave them with your 500 Beanie Babies that they don't want. And again, these are tough conversations too, because it can be kind of sad to find out that people don't want your stuff. But I feel like that's been talked about enough. Like, that's a thing too. There's been articles written about it. Like, your 30 or your 40-year-old kids don't want your junk. They just don't. And I don't even mean that's not nice junk. It's nice, but they just don't want it.
It's just
They're
not their
minimalist.
taste.
It's not their taste. They're more minimal, all that, right? And so you kind of just got to rip the Band-Aid off on that deal and just, acknowledge that. And then taking control of your own destiny when you sort of do your own downsizing. And again, bring in resources if you want a partner. It's better done with a partner. It's hard to sift through things yourself. And sometimes people, when we help clients sort through stuff, and sometimes admittedly we're doing this after clients have passed away and helping their kids with it, we're much faster at sifting through the information. And what we do is we can tell what's, sentimental items versus like, this is truly like, okay, dumpster. If someone else goes through it, then they can make some bins for you that are sentimental, and you can go through those at your leisure, right? But at least you're moving forward in the process. You're not just going to leave it because every box is an emotional experience for you, right? So anyway, just kind of taking control of the situation. And then my other tips would be keep good records for income tax deduction purposes. Make a list to maximize the tax deduction value. Depending on how much you have, you may want to get an appraisal that's qualified for the IRS. Get somebody who's an expert in what's valuable. Again, usually I find these conversations are more steered like, I'm sorry, what you thought was valuable actually really isn't. But at the same time, there are things that are, and a person with a keen eye and expertise for this can walk through your home and may or may not even charge you to do so. And they'll walk through and tell you like, okay, yes, this has value, this doesn't, and they can help you do auction or whatever. for the items that do have value. And some people will even take those things off site, so you don't have to have an estate sale in your home. A lot of people don't want to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Traipsing through. And nor are they maybe ready to do that, but they want to maximize it. And then there's a special thing in the tax, not special, but if a charity puts something you donate to a related use, meaning the charity uses it for its exempt purpose. Like if you gave away a car to a school that teaches kids how to repair cars, right? You would get a higher value deduction for that if the charity is actually using that asset for its purpose. And so people have what I call hobby assets. Again, it might be a collection that your kids don't want, but if you can get creative on finding charities that these items or collection or something might fit right into their exempt purpose, you can get some better tax deductions there and feel good that your stuff is going to good use.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you can't do this good research if you're like just literally trying to get rid of this stuff so that you can get the house on the market in a month. If you take some time to do it, have your parents do it themselves with your help maybe while they're still perfectly able to do so, they can feel good about that.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, this whole idea of downsizing. So all my parents have gone through this whole thing. And then I've actually gone through it a couple times because I moved to France. So we had to downsize our house. And then when we moved back, we had to downsize from France. And then every time we move, I do a full downsize, just because I don't want to carry stuff that I
don't you love it?
What? No, I hate it, actually.
Oh, I love to clean.
And so I just kind of wanted to give the other side of that perspective is hire somebody that loves it. So I have an organizer who loves it.
Yes.
And she just will and she talks me into, Monica, someone else will enjoy this so much more. You haven't worn this for 2 years, so we can have these conversations, but it is emotionally and mentally absolutely exhausting for me.
I bet you could organize somebody else's stuff
I
more
probably
enjoyably than your own.
But it's not my fun. It's not my, it's like a blissful experience for me. Right.
Right.
And every once in a while, my organizer will have to smack me like, Monica, you need to let go of this. And a lot of times I smack back, I'm like, no, I'm not going to make that decision right now.
Right. Put it in a clear bin for later. That's what I
right.
say.
Let's do it later.
Mm-hmm.
And because there is this sort of thing of decision exhaustion that people go through, right? There's a lot, and we're going to talk about the emotional side, but I just wanted to give a little perspective on have compassion, because me at 50, if I want to smack my organizer, I would never do that. I love her, but I'm just, we get into these smits where I'm like, no, don't make me. And I'm 50 and I'm in control of my life. Imagine your parents when they've got an entire lifetime of memories.
Which is why you want to do it more in advance. So you can do it just a couple hours at a time, because it's exhausting.
And you want to make sure that it's someone who actually enjoys doing it, so that at least that will uplift your parents.
Correct.
Like, I know working with Gianna, at least it's uplifting. Like every time she walks into my house, I know my house is going to look better afterwards. So no matter what trauma I go through.
That's what I tell my team. Like, you got to make this fun. Even if you're going to someone's house to help them pay their bills, like, we're delightful. We show up. Sometimes we bring flowers. Like we want to make this a fun experience.
That's right. And that's really, really important
for them.
I'm sorry?
It's not awesome for them sometimes. So we want to make it fun.
Yeah.
Right. They're excited that we're coming over because they like us, and they feel accomplished when we leave.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I feel about my organizer, even when we're downsizing. So
That's right.
And that was actually a really good segue. Let's talk about, I have my own emotional experience about downsizing, but what kinds of emotional stuff should we be looking out for?
Right. So, I think just having some compassion around it and acknowledging that your parents are, it's like a huge walk down memory lane, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's a lot of things. First of all, it's actually probably the least about the actual things.
Yes.
Right. It's okay. It's the prospect of losing their independence. Like, where are they moving? Where are they moving to? Again, which might be why it might be fun when there's not an imminent, thing happening. And, you want to be patient, because if they haven't gone through their stuff, they're going to come across things that spark a walk down memory lane. But use that as a fun thing to do. Right. I mean, if it takes 3 hours to go through one box, so be it. If you had a nice time with your parents and you laughed about some things and had some good memories. And, just kind of making the time and space for them to do that on their own time.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is patience and compassion.
Yes.
And just really remembering that this isn't about you. You're helping them.
Right.
And,
this is the role reversal, because right. When they were parenting you, it was all about you.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And now it gets to be all about them.
Yeah.
And you get to be compassionate and hold their hand through this whole thing, because this process can be very emotional for them.
Yeah. And just acknowledging that it's stressful for them. So again, trying to take some opportunities to, if you can do some work and then reduce the stress in some way, kind of mix it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think seeking help with it too. If you're not an expert or you don't love organizing either, then maybe you get your parents some help, that someone who is enthusiastic about it and might make it fun.
Got it. Okay, great. So before we move to extra and the 3 rapid fire questions, could you tell everybody how they can reach you?
Yeah, so you can get a hold of me through my website, which is simplify-wealth.com. And my email and everything about me and my team and my contact information is all on there.
Great. And then I know that you have a free gift for my audience. Why don't we talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So I have a life organizer tool. When you're collecting information about your parents or your own life, people ask, well, what should I be collecting? And so I have what I call a life organizer tool. So if you go to my website, and this tool is best viewed on your desktop versus on mobile. So if you click on the top, top upper right next to my blog, there's a thing that says Life Organizer. If you click on that, there's a 7-day free trial for the Life Organizer website, which is a kind of a working grid on all the things you need to collect to get a handle on your finances and a lot of things I talked about, all those passwords. And, it's really intended to jog your memory on what you need to collect. And if you are looking at it on mobile, you just go all the way down to the bottom of my website.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. That's really, really valuable. And because I know that a lot of times when you think about your finances, there's so many moving parts, it can be intimidating. So having a list of all the things that you should be looking for, that would be really, really helpful. So ladies, go and take a look at that at simplify-wealth.com, and then go to the area that says Life Organizer. So that's awesome. And so are you ready for our 3 rapid fire questions?
Oh boy, yes, I am.
Okay, good. And normally we talk about these in terms of real estate investing, but I think today I'd like to change them to sort of creating or simplifying your wealth, simplifying your finances. So let's just do it from that perspective. Does that sound good?
Sure.
Okay, good.
That
so
I know about.
Yeah, there we go. Well, you answered those questions before, so
true.
Anyway, so
I know. I was like, I'll probably accidentally just give the same answers.
The exact same answers.
That would happen.
Yeah. We'll do something a little different today.
Okay.
Keep it spicy.
Perfect.
Okay. So give us one super tip on how to really get started in managing your finances and your wealth.
Yeah. So I would say start inventorying what you have, kind of just start.
Mm-hmm.
And get a partner or a personal CFO, or if you're helping your parents, partner with your parents if you're doing this for them. Get some resources like the Life Organizer or something to really start tackling it. Because if it's stressing you out, it's not, that stress isn't going to go away if you don't start somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And there is some relief in just tackling some chunks at it. But also don't feel like you have to do it all in one day.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, perfect. And then what would you say is a strategy on being successful in that whole process?
Well, again, I would say give yourself time to, not have to, I would say a strategy would be proactive so that you're not having to do this when you're under stress because something has happened to your parents or in your own life. And then just have a system to be organized, whether you're using a checklist or you're tracking it in a spreadsheet or you're using password managers. Come up with some kind of system that once you gather the information, you're keeping it somewhere that's organized. Otherwise, you're having to deal with it twice.
Got it. Good. And what would you say is one personal daily practice that you use that contributes to your personal success?
So since we last talked, I started meditating every morning.
Yay.
Which, yeah, for anyone who knows me is like, really? She's meditating. Okay. But it's awesome. I found a meditation recording, if you will, whatever, that I listen to. So I work out in the morning. I have a good morning routine now. I work out and then I do my meditating, and it puts me in a really good place to be in my zone and kind of be intentional, set my intention for the day. And, that state maybe lasts probably 5 minutes until my life gets crazy, but it's something. That's been a good practice for me.
Awesome. Well, that's really good that you added that in. It's surprisingly important. And
it really is.
You wouldn't believe how many people on this podcast are very, very successful people, multi-millionaires. And that's the thing that they say is they find a way to be mindful every single day.
That's right. And set an intention for the day. And yep.
Very nice.
Exactly.
Cool. Well, Angela, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this information with my ladies. On the next portion, we're going to do a deep dive on really how to get specifically involved in your parents' finances and what to do, and a little bit more about that conversation and what you need to collect and all that stuff. So we've got a lot more from Angela coming in extra. So if you ladies are subscribed to Extra, just stay tuned. We've got more coming. And if you're not subscribed to Extra but would like to be, just go to realestateinvestingforwomenextra.com. You can subscribe there. You get 7 days for free, so you can test out the content. Make sure you love it. And then you'll be getting your extra portions of the show right wherever you are listening to this podcast. So you don't have to have a new app. You don't need to go anywhere else. Once you're subscribed, it'll be downloaded directly to you. So that is at realestateinvestingforwomenextra.com. For those of you that are leaving us now, thank you so much for joining Angela and I for this portion of the show. I look forward to seeing you next time. And until then, remember, goals without action are just dreams. So get out there, take action, and create the life your heart deeply desires. I'll see you next time. Bye. I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you'd like to download my favorite investing strategy, just go to blissfulinvestor.com. See you next time.